people that are annoyed at me, what is your goal? I'm not lying here. Everybody else is.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the possibility of season 3 coming sooner. Now, this is something that I was kind of against, and I'm having a big change of heart. Now, the reason why I was against it is not because I didn't want it. It's actually because I was looking at the situation logically. I was saying that season 2 was created by Development Team B. Season 2 was terrible. It was one of the most horribly reviewed bouncing updates of the year 2025, so much so that even Resident Evil players, Call of Duty players, everyone's seeing the backlash. There was multiple news articles that came from Dextero, multiple videos that came from Esports Score. There was multiple videos and articles coming from IGN. The Season 2 backlash reached far and wide. As a result of that, Harada replaced Development Team B, who made Season 2, with Development Team A. Now, Development Team A are the guys who always have been making Tekken, the game, the characters, and for some reason, they got pushed to the side and Development Team B became the primary team, but they reverted back after the backlash. Now, I was telling people, how much time do you think it would take for a new team to come in, observe the damages, see what the Development Team B did, but then also come up with a solution? I was saying that would take about like 5-6 months just to try to like figure out everything and then start to work towards a new implementation. Now, I don't know nothing about game development. Maybe it could be way quicker than that, but just with my limited knowledge, I would assume it takes time. This is why we didn't see any immediate balance changes, because those guys had to come in and clean up and then actually get to work. But the Development Team A, they did some good things with fucking around with Armor King, so there's a bright path ahead. But I was still just trying to emphasize time, how much time it would take to fix everything and then implement it all at once. And the reason why you got to do all at once is because the players have this tendency to do a lot of whataboutism. If Anna gets nerfed, the animators are going to say, what about Harag? If Harag gets nerfed too, then people are going to say, what about Claudia? If you nerf some characters and not all the characters, players are going to start crying and saying, what about this? What about that? And it's just going to be a problem, right? Because there's a lot of people who are still very much convinced that this game doesn't need balance. And if anything, some characters are too weak. Now, those characters who think that are definitely in the minority, but they still speak very loudly on Twitter and also in the comment sections of videos. But here's the thing, that was my old argument. My old argument is that they need time to fix this game. Well, I still believe that, but the question is, and the new idea is like, how much time do they need? And they can also give themselves more time. This is where the start of season 3 starts to get pushed around a little bit. I'm going to start this conversation from Twitter with a user by the name of Broski FGC. Odd disconnect between an apparent eagerness to patch more without competitive disruption in the same year that saw Capcom Cup end, and then a 3-month season gap before the yearly update actually released. And Tekken kind of does a similar thing, which we're going to talk about. FDX brings in the idea. He says Tekken 8 would benefit greatly from dropping season 3 as soon as the world tour concludes. Using a 2 to 4 month presentation for testing is necessary if minimizing competitive distribution is a key objective. We all know that the developers didn't balance the game because they didn't want to interrupt tournaments, right? You have so many tournaments going on. Some tournaments are giving out money. Some tournaments are very prestigious. Even though the players, even though the pros, even though everyone wants it to be done, the developers of a lot of games still are not budging. So if that's the case, why don't you give yourself more time at the start of the year, not the season, to balance the game? This is where we talk about the actual release schedule of Tekken 8, so you can see how they're kind of dooming themselves for failure if something goes wrong. And we've seen, you know, kind of multiple times something goes wrong, whether that be Launch Leroy, whether that be Lydia Kunimitsu, and then now you have Tekken 8 Season 2. As soon as Season 2 started, the most diabolical character entered the game, and there was no time to fix her. That's Anna Williams. They can stop all of that if they started the season back literally 2 to 4 months like FDX says. I simply asked AI, what is the release date of every Tekken DLC ever? You can see that a lot of these release dates fall on either November, March, or February, like in that area, right? It's either November, December, January, February, March. And the reason why is because that's usually when the tournament ends and the next season is about to begin. And then you can see Geese Howard, that's season 1 is November. Noctis is March. So you can see that Geese Howard release, that's the end. And then Noctis would have been the start. End November, start is March. And if you think about season 2 right now, Marizu is supposed to release early December, right? So that keeps very in line with the final character releasing at the end of November or beginning of December. But let's keep going. You can see here, Anna Williams, Label Long, September. Craig Marduk, Armor King is December. Armor King and Fakamram released in the December slot. And then the final 2 characters, which is Julia and Negan, released in February. So you had 4 characters for season 2 of Tekken 7 released in that short amount of time. That is insane. But also it perfectly lined up for the tournaments to take place. As you can see, February is probably when the tournament started, and then nothing happened all the way until September with Zafina. You see how they give themselves so much space. Even after September with Zafina, the next characters came in December. So they always avoid most of the year and they only do stuff at the start and at the end. We know that Leroy Smith was released on December the 10th. So this was at the very end of that tournament year. And then the next tournament was beginning. And what happened is Leroy was so powerful, he basically destroyed the tournament. Really, the pandemic kind of saved them because Leroy wasn't nerfed for quite some time. And the same thing with Fakamram. But since there wasn't a united Tekken World Tour circuit, it didn't look as bad as that one Evo tournament. But if there was no pandemic, Leroy and Fakamram would have destroyed the whole year, kind of like Anna is doing right now. Anna, there is no pandemic to distract everyone from the monstrosities that's going on in tournaments. So if you skip ahead and now let's talk about Tekken 8. This is when the structure of tournaments are more concise, more finite. This is when they have, as I used to say, the blueprint laid out. As you can see here, Tekken 8 Eddie releases on April 1st. You can see that Anna releases on March 31st. The official start for season 2 was April 1st. So you have the starts of both season 1 and season 2 at the same exact time. And then the end dates are pretty similar as well. December 17th, and then Rizu is going to be December 1st. Now, here's the thing. December is basically the end of the Tekken World Tour. You have January, February, March. January and February, really, if we look at what FDX is saying, should now be the start of season 3. As soon as December concludes, like after Christmas, January should be the start of the new season. Maybe you could release a character. I think so, probably the first character as well. But then also that gives you time to adjust. If you want to start your Tekken World Tour in March, Evo Vegas, CEO, Combo Breakers, EWC, all of those big events follow up right after that. At least you give yourself time. With season 2, we saw the developers release Anna and they had at minimum like 3 weeks to try to do some type of balancing, and then they were hands off. But if they give themselves an extra 2 months of wiggle room by starting it in January, then I think the season will turn out much better. Now, here's the thing as well, because you do got to talk about, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, time. Do they have the time to do this? I would say if they do not, then they can also split the season in half. We were also talking about them doing a big mid-season update, right? Somewhere during the season, you can do like a big tone shift, or maybe you can add some new stuff in. If they didn't have the time to prepare all 1,500 changes for season 3 at the start, how about you just put in 700 of those changes at the start in January? And then somewhere around March, once you also balance those things and you can figure out the community feedback, this and that, then in March, you could do another big update and add in the rest of the season. I really like this idea because it's kind of satisfying both players. You're starting a new season, you're fixing the game immediately, but then also you're giving yourself room and time to fix the game if characters go left. And we've seen more times than not the characters for Tekken, the DLC goes left. What are you talking about? The season 1, you talking about the season 2 Marduk Julia, you talking about, you know, the season 3. I think all of season 3, Zafina, Ganryu, Leroy, Fakamram were insanely powerful. Most people only talk about Leroy Fakamram though, but then you can even talk about what came next with the Lydia Kunimitsu. All of the DLC are so powerful, bro. They're destructive. And even if you talk about the ones who aren't competitive and competitively viable, like I think Eddie, Heihachi, those characters in Tekken 8 are super slept on and they wreak havoc. The developers would give themselves more time to balance if they gave themselves more time to balance. And I really like this idea. What do you guys think? Maybe if the community speaks loud enough about this, maybe we can see a date shift for the start of the season.